We have all the technologies, and in fact we also have on display the Clarity fuel cell vehicle here. So the technology is not the challenge really. As far as India is concerned, we are working on a India strategy at the moment, and we are not in a position as yet to share any details because it's still work in progress. So there are several elements that need to be considered. One is, of course, consumer preferences, because finally the consumer is going to buy the EV. However, we have to align ourselves with the EV policy of India, and that is still awaited. So once all the elements are in place, that is where we can really take forward the strategy. So our strategy would depend on not just consumer preferences but the policy as well. So and that is still awaited, and that's why we are not in a position to share anything. So we have not yet concretized anything. We are working on the strategy, and once we have everything in place, that's when we can share with you.
Right, I'm going to pick from that word that you used, consumer preference. Now, normally when it comes to cars or when it comes to any commodity, the consumers drive demand, the consumers drive innovation, demand drives innovation. But here we're seeing something very different. It's being driven from the government's point of view. Now, of course, environmental concerns being given as they are. But do you think that the Indian masses, say over the next 4 years, 5 years, would be ready to accept electric vehicles in the form as they are today, where the kilometer readings on one charge is low, the costs are high? How long is it going to take for R&D to go into these areas to make it actually affordable for the Aam Aadmi, if we were to call it, in India?
Right. So the main constraint that the industry faces today is battery technology. Of course, it's improving rapidly, yet we are not in a situation where the battery is light enough and cheap enough to be really viable from a consumer perspective. That's one part of it. So we hope that's going to increase. Again, on the other hand, we have taxes, right? Of course, GST on EVs are lower, but is it enough to swing a customer from a normal IC engine car to an EV? That's not yet the case, because given the current tax structures, EVs would require far more support for consumers to seriously consider. And then there are other challenges which you yourself spoke about, range, life, etc. And then again, from an environmental perspective, we still don't have a clear picture on how old lithium-ion batteries would be disposed of, because that again is a big issue.